Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Smooth Plays podcast. I'm Austin, aka Austin Plays, joined once again by Dean, aka Mr. Smooth. If you didn't notice in the last one, Dean was in a little different background than what you're used to seeing on our channel, but yeah, that was because Dean was in the heart of Hurricane Milton. But he's back home. He's got power. Everything's good. Thankfully, I know a lot of people are still kind of recovering from the effects of Milton. So, thoughts and prayers with all of you guys that are affected. And I hope everything is good and well and going through like the recovery process. All right. But everything said, all right. We're here. We're here to talk about week 6 of the NFL season, man. You
Let's
ready?
do it, man. I'm ready.
All right. We're getting to you kind of late, right? At the time of recording this, it's only like 10 minutes or so from kickoff on Thursday night. Say Dean just got back from driving back home from his evacuation. So, but first game, right? Thursday night, San Fran and the Seahawks.
This one should be fun. Well, divisional game. San Francisco coming off a disappointing loss. Honestly, back-to-back disappointing losses against the
Yeah.
Rams and the Cardinals. And same thing with Seattle after getting pretty honestly beat up by Danny Dimes and the Giants at
Yeah.
home. I'm interested to see what you have to say about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at both of these teams. There are two teams that have, you know, kind of started to slide down the slippery slope a little bit. San Fran high expectations. They're now 2-3. Like I know we talked about in the recap episode, missing McCaffrey, I think is going to hurt them. But this is a Seattle team that typically struggles against the run game, so I think that San Fran should be able to take full advantage of that weakness. And we'll see if they can kind of correlate that in their play action game and really get Purdy going and get their pass game going. And then that defense, they're good enough to really keep them in games down the stretch. And, I like San Fran in this one, firstly. But then, I mean, you look at Seattle, right? They've lost their last two after starting 3-0 against some, you know, below average competition. I thought the Giants were a good get back game for them. Unfortunately, they dropped that one. So I think the Seattle team um, is in a little bit more trouble than what others might think, me personally.
Honestly, I agree with you. I don't think I said before the year started that I think Seattle's a 8-9 win team, nothing more than that. And I agree. I'm on the side of the Niners in this one. I think they cover the spread as well. Going into Seattle, I just think the Niners have been leading the last two games that they've lost. They were winning the whole game.
Yeah.
I think they're second in the NFL. Their defenses from playing like when their defense on the field, they're never behind. The only team that's ahead of them is the Chiefs, and they're 2-3. But we all know this team's better than that.
Yeah,
I think San
absolutely.
Francisco, they're just a better team than Seattle. I don't see how Seattle's going to be able to block them with their offensive line at all.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, but yeah, sounds like we're both rocking with San Fran on this one, this Thursday night game. Dean is taking them minus points, and yeah, I think that they should be able to cover the spread on this one as well. Moving on, all right, Sunday games. We got another London game, all right, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is essentially a home game for them because even though they're on the road, because I mean they're notorious for their Jacksonville London games. So they're playing up against Chicago Bears. What are you looking to see out of this one?
Like you said, this is basically the second home for the Jags. And I think that that is such an advantage for them, having done this trip so often. They've done it
Yeah.
way, almost what, 8, 9, 10 times more
Yeah,
than the
I think
NFL,
they've done
average
it
NFL
like
team.
I want to say they've done it every year since they've had these London games.
Yeah, I think they have. So I think that within itself is such an advantage. And a quick little stat, rookie QBs in London, 0-5 straight up.
Yeah.
Uh, I like the Jags. I'm taking the Jags to just win this one outright, honestly.
Yeah, I like the Jags in this one. I think the Jags got a good shot to advance to 2-4 here. And like you said, rookie first game going into a foreign country. The lights will be bright, and I think ultimately end up being a little bit too bright. I do like the Chicago Bears team. I think they got pieces. They went out and got like a bunch of pieces before the year started. I like their defense. but I'm just looking at the Jags, right? We've been saying this Jags team, they're better than an 0-4 team, and they're better than a 1-4 team, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the Jags, they're a good pick here as underdogs. I think they go into London and they steal one away from Chicago here.
Don't forget it is the Jags, so anything is possible.
Anything is possible, but if Trevor Lawrence can keep up the momentum, I feel good about it. Moving in, all right, into our early window. Okay, we got the Houston Texans and the New England Patriots. All right, and I'm looking at this one. My brother just got here.
You're good.
All right. Yeah, so I'm looking at Houston and New England. Okay. Houston 4-1, New England 1-4. But the story on this one is going to be Drake May. First career start. What do you think? You're hyped for this one.
I am. I guaranteed that I will be talking about the Patriots more once Drake May plays. I just don't love this game being the game that they want to throw him out there with because
Oh, so you're pulling back your guarantee now.
no, I'm gonna talk about him. I just for Drake May's sake, like let's be honest, the Patriots are after their week one win, they've proved who they are, and they're just not a very good football team. And you want to throw your rookie QB out there against one of the best teams in the AFC. I don't know. I don't love picking this game, but I'm excited to watch him play.
Yeah.
Very excited to watch him play.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to see kind of what he does against some of the, top talent in the NFL, at least on a defensive standpoint as well. Big storyline for this one is obviously Drake May. Another one we're following is Nico Collins. He's been ruled on the IR, so he'll be out for a number of weeks. And so we'll see Stephon Diggs step into that wide receiver one role in Houston, and Tank Dell stepping right back into that wide receiver two role that he had last year, which he excelled at. So I don't know. I think the loss of Nico Collins isn't going to slow this Houston team down. I think they'll be just fine moving forward. And yeah, I think this is tough for a rookie for your first game to go up against a talented Houston Texans and a defensive minded coach. Um, Granted at home, so that helps a little bit. But I think Houston's just too good, and I think Houston's going to end up running away with this one.
Yeah, I think Houston wins the game, but I actually have a sneaky suspicion that May's going to be able to actually use his legs a little bit behind New England's very questionable offensive line, and hopefully they can run the ball a little bit. And I think 6.5 points we've seen this season, these big spreads continuously are getting covered. I think New
Yeah.
England covers this one. Obviously, I'm taking Houston to win, but I'll take the 6.5 with the Pats. Why not?
Yeah, I'm not completely disagreeing. I think 6.5 is a respectable line for New England. They have a good defense. I think their defense, if anything, if Drake May is, a little, even if he gets off to a slow start and kind of starts to fit, as long as can kind of put it together at some point in this game, right? Who's to say that they're not keeping this within a one score game? So I don't hate the take there at 6.5. But I like Houston to win straight up.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, moving on. Okay, Washington Commanders and the Baltimore Ravens. This one's gonna be fun, and the spread on this one is at 6.5 in Baltimore's favor. So let me hear what you have to say on this one.
That's a big, obviously, we know that's a big spread. And with how good the Commanders have looked, them being plus 240 on the money line is kind of wild because they've looked elite so
Yeah,
far. With all that being said, I think this is a really tough spot for the Washington Commanders. I mean, Baltimore's their next door neighbor pretty much. So it should be, maybe a little. Jaden Daniels got asked a question about compared to Lamar Jackson, and he said, I don't want to be that. I'm Jaden Daniels,
yes,
which
sir.
I love the response. But I think this is a spot. I don't know what to do per se with the spread. I don't love that. Honestly, if I were to do anything, I would just take the over in this one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like what you said, because yeah, the Commanders are red hot. They look like one of the best teams in the NFL right now. They got momentum, right? Everyone believes in that locker room. But this Baltimore team has lost some bad games. They lost to Vegas, right? And then I don't remember who was their other loss to.
Baltimore, Kansas City, week one.
Kansas City week one, right? The game that they were competitive in. But yeah, that Raiders loss was a bad game that they did not look good. But I mean, they've responded and they've looked great ever since. And they looked great against Cincinnati. And I think that this defense is going to be able to show up a little bit more than what they did against Cincinnati. I don't love the spot for the Commanders. Um, I say that, but I actually do like the. I say that I don't like them. However, I do think that if I were to pick an underdog, like a dog of the week, I like them to win this one straight up. This team is too hot, and the locker room is way too invested. I think this is going to be a very competitive battle. I like them against the spread, and I like them to win this one outright on the road.
I see. I like where you're going with that because there is a lot of value at plus 240. If I had to pick a team to win, I would take Baltimore. They're, I don't see the Commanders being able to stop Jackson and Henry on the ground. And if they can
Yeah.
keep the ball out of Jaden Daniels' hands,
Hmm.
I mean, that's the best way to stop them right there.
Yeah, I would say we really haven't seen that yet, so we'll see if that's a area they like to exploit with this Washington team. But regardless, should be a fun one to watch. Can't wait to check that one out. All right, moving on. Okay, Cleveland Browns against the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles fresh off a bye. I haven't seen any news on Deshaun Watson, whether he's going to be benched or not.
He will not. He's playing.
I mean, yeah, we both
So
are kind of calling for a change, so we'll see. But Philly is a 9.5 point favorite on this one.
yeah, to see a minus 500 in the NFL is kind of crazy. And that's what they are on the money line. I think AJ Brown and Smith will be back in this game
Mhm.
too. So all their woes offensively that were there against Tampa should be gone. Um, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want any part of back in the Cleveland Browns when Deshaun Watson is their quarterback.
Hey, I am right there with you, my friend. Yeah, Philadelphia fresh off a bye at home, right? Cleveland, that whole locker room, I think, is distraught. The coaching staff they're at a loss right now. I don't know if this Cleveland Browns team is up for the challenge, and I do think that I think 9.5 is a very realistic line for how this game is supposed to go.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The Eagles, especially with how the Browns have looked, I mean, I'm not surprised by the big number at all. And to be honest, I wouldn't even be scared to take it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I'd feel comfortable taking it.
Yeah, I'm on Philly, and give me the points because I'm done with Deshaun Watson. They're getting
Absolutely.
blown out every week. It's bad.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. So we'll move on to Arizona and Green Bay. All right. All right, Kyler Murray. This is tough because they just were on the road last week in San Fran, and now they're going on the road once again in a quick trip up to Green Bay, another very hostile environment, tough place to play. They ended up sneaking out a win here, but I think Green Bay it's taxing, right? It's taxing traveling that much against two teams that are very very respectable in their own right. So I personally think that Green Bay is going to end up taking this one, but let me hear what you have to say.
No, I agree with you. We talked about how Arizona's kind of sneaky at times. The Packers aren't going to be sneaked up on in this one at
Yeah.
Lambeau. They just had a game where they honestly didn't play that well and still won. Um, I think Green Bay covers the 4.5 too. I think Green Bay's got this game. Their defense has been good. Maybe Xavier McKinney gets another interception. Who
Who
knows?
knows?
But yeah, Green Bay is the side, in my opinion.
All right. Moving on, we got the Indianapolis Colts against the Tennessee Titans, who also Tennessee Titans coming off of a bye week. All right. And let me hear what you have to say on this one.
This one is interesting as well because I have two different opinions. I have if Joe Flacco is starting, I will back the Colts. If Anthony
Mhm.
Richardson is starting, I think the Titans at home are the side, honestly. And I hate to say that. I know Colts fans are dreaming for AR, but at least right now, I feel like Joe Flacco's the better option right now. At least their offenses look better with him in the game.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I look at this, I look at, what they've done. I mean, Indianapolis, Michael Pittman's
He's
likely
out.
not going to play.
Yeah.
He's listed as doubtful right now, so probably not going to play. The last game they had, they were missing Jonathan Taylor. He's listed as questionable, so we could see him come back. But Josh Downs was very productive in their
Hmm.
last week, so I agree with you. I think if Joe Flacco plays, I'd like to see AR, be healthy and be successful. But I think right now, Joe Flacco is what's better for this Indianapolis team based on what we've seen. And then, I mean, on the other side, you look at Tennessee, they're coming off of a bye. But again, this is a Tennessee team that is really still trying to find their identity. And, did they find that in the bye week? I don't know. But I think it's going to come down, like you said, to the quarterback decision. I think if Joe Flacco starts this one, I like Indy. It should be a close game though, regardless.
Yeah, it should be it's a, these divisional games are always close. But yeah, I agree. I would wait to see the, 90 minutes before the game, see who's starting at quarterback for the Colts.
Yeah. All right. But first take right now, I think I'm leaning a little bit. I'm leaning more towards the Colts right now.
That's if I had to pick one to lean towards, I would honestly say Tennessee. I'm leaning towards Tennessee.
All right. Moving on. All right. So this is wrapping up our early window games. Divisional game here. Again, we got the Tampa Bay Bucks going into New Orleans. And again, this is a Tampa Bay Bucks team. They're going on the road, but they've been in New Orleans all week, practicing up there with hurricanes and Helene. They've been dealing with those all week. So they actually moved, have been practicing up in New Orleans all week. So they've been there for a while. Right. What do you think about what do you think this one is going to come down to?
I think this is a great bounce back opportunity for the Bucks because we talked about how they honestly looked or their offense looked really good against Atlanta and their defense just couldn't stop Kirk Cousins and Spencer Rattler is starting
Yeah.
for the Saints this week. So first career start for Spencer Rattler. I don't want any part of that. I'll take the Bucks with the
Yeah.
points.
I will say this. I don't hate the decision because Derek Carr has been questionable the last 3 weeks, despite, being hot the first 2 weeks. And Spencer Rattler was, lighting it up in the preseason. So I called for it and I was wondering, how early we would see a Spencer Rattler appearance. And here we are in week 6. Spencer Rattler's getting the call, so I am a little bit interested to see how that works. But the Bucks are getting Antoine Winfield back this week, one of the top safeties in the league. We're getting Kalijah Cansey back in our pass rush. I think that we should be, like you said, good bounce back, good get right game for Tampa, even being on the road here, dealing with all the hurricane stuff. Good get right game, and I feel confident in the Bucks winning this one. They're a 3.5 point favorite. I think they got this. And my one note that I will say the key for Tampa Bay in this one is stopping Alvin Kamara. Because ever since
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara has showed up in New Orleans, he has torched the Tampa Bay Bucks. So if we can isolate him and slow him down, I think the Bucks can run away with this one.
Yeah, I have one little note as well. Maybe take Mike Evans under because Marshawn Lattimore oftentimes wins that
Yeah.
battle whenever those two go at it.
I would argue, maybe biased, but one of the great 1v1 rivalries in all of the
Yeah,
NFL, at least
I agree
at
with
least
that.
right now. All right, moving on. That wraps up our early window. Moving on into this late window. Okay, the LA Chargers, who are coming off of a bye, going into Denver, who are coming off a big win.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised to see Denver as 3-point underdogs in this game at home. Because we all know that Denver dealing with the altitude is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Chargers injury list is very long. I don't know a lot of these guys are
Yeah,
questionable, so maybe they'll play, but it's long and it has names on it that I mean, Khalil Mack's on it, Joey Bosa,
Joey
Joe Alt,
Bosa, Herbert's
Gus
still on it.
Edwards.
Gus
I mean,
Edwards,
Herbert's still banged up. I think a lot of it depends on if Herbert is 100% because I think if he's good
which he
with that
won't be.
ankle, yeah, I don't know. So to be honest, I'm on Denver on this one because I just don't know how Herbert's going to look with that ankle.
Yeah, I agree. I like Denver as dogs, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I think, I think if I'm the Denver Broncos, I'm wearing those throwback unis every week because those are so clean. I love the light blue on the helmet to go with the orange, and Yeah, I'm high on Denver. Like I said, we talked about it in our recap episode. The big key is going to be that defense is so good as long as Bo Nix can keep the ball away from the defense and not turn the ball over. I mean, that defense is going to keep him in games, and I think that this Denver team has the talent to, down the stretch, compete and win these close games. So I'm on Denver on this one as to win straight up as an underdog.
Yeah, I'm on Denver to win straight up. I'm also actually on the under too because I just don't see a lot of fireworks in this game, to be honest. A divisional game, both teams are going to run the ball a lot. It's 35 and a half, so it's pretty low, but I like that.
All right. Moving on, staying in our late window, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. Your guys going into Vegas. What are you hoping to see?
As a Steeler fan, this game scares me, to be honest, because this has trap game written all over it. I think the number, I think 90% of the public around that is on Pittsburgh for this game. And I'll be honest, I think the Steelers are going to win, but I'm worried because for some reason the Raiders always play them well. Aiden O'Connell starting this week,
Mhm.
which I don't. That's not really him and
Whatever.
Minshew are. Yeah, it's
They're
whatever.
interchangeable.
Adams is out, which is good for Pittsburgh. If the Steelers lose this game, all my belief in them competing goes down the drain. So give me Pittsburgh to win.
I will say this too. I think if Pittsburgh loses this game, you can throw Devontae Adams out the door. There's no chance he's going to Pittsburgh if they drop this one.
Yeah, I agree too.
Um,
That's facts.
But all that said, you're worried about this one being a trap game, and quite frankly, I don't think you should worry. I mean, again, this is another team in the Vegas Raiders that they're kind of lost right now, trying to figure everything out. Devontae Adams, I think, really threw a wedge in this team with all the drama off the field, and I think that Dustin Fields, you talked about, had a worse game as the Steeler last week, and they correct that this week. I think we see some more big playability, right? Pushing the ball downfield to George Pickens, maybe Calvin Austin pops off a deep one, right? We'll see, but I think this is going to be Pittsburgh's get right game right here.
I love that. I love hearing that.
All right. Moving along, okay. Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. Detroit's coming off a bye week, but this one's in Dallas. So, what do you think?
This is probably, in my opinion, the best game of the week on this week's slate. Because the Cowboys always get attention because they're the Cowboys, and the Lions are one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah,
Jared Goff in a dome is a dog, and
he's
he's coming.
something. It's special. It's special.
So the fact that they are playing on the road makes me think about Dallas a little bit, but then I remember Jerry's world is a dome, and I'm taking the Lions to win this one straight up.
Yeah, I know. I do like the Lions here, fresh off a bye. I mean, these early buys they're not. I don't think they're not as valuable, granted, as they are later. That week rest, to some teams might be valuable. If you're dealing with injuries early in the year. For the Lions in this case, I don't know if they're really benefiting a whole lot from an early buy to kind of get guys back healthy, just because they haven't seen a whole lot of crazy injuries, and hopefully stays that way. Um, but I like the Lions here. This Dallas team has looked really good at times, but they've also, been real questionable at times. And quite frankly, last week I didn't see anything that was super flashy that made me believe, right? They knocked off Pittsburgh, right, in prime time, which is all like in Pittsburgh. So, that's a great win. Um, but I think this Detroit Lions team, they're gonna be coming in, they're gonna be fresh, ready to go, right? Dallas had a short week, tough game, and I think Detroit's just gonna be the fresher team and be able to kind of outrun the Dallas Cowboys in this one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Dallas does with the 1-2 punch of Montgomery and Gibbs because that's a tough 1-2 punch
Yeah.
to stop. And I
Again,
don't know if Micah Parsons is
don't
playing.
forget Dallas the last 2 weeks has been pretty all right against the run, but through the first 3 weeks they were by
They were
far
really
the
bad.
worst team against the run. So they're gonna have to address that and slow down this run game of the Detroit Lions. All right. And then I think this is the last game in our late window, which it is the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers.
This one is cool because I feel like in Atlanta, Kirk Cousins has made a switch. 1 o'clock games, he used to be a dog. Primetime
Mhm.
games went down the drain. Now, these 1 o'clock games, he goes out there and plays average. And then on primetime, he puts up 500 yards.
Yeah.
And this is actually a spot where I think this is a spot where Carolina is going to be able to move the ball and score because one thing that Atlanta does not do is put pressure on the passer. And they just don't really have a lot of pass rushers. I know they have Matt Judon, but he hasn't been the same, to be honest.
I know
And
he's
I think if
also I think he's banged up as well.
oh, okay.
So but I think he'll play, but I know he was banged up a little bit.
I think Andy Dalton's going to be able to move the ball on this defense. If he can sit back there and read the defense and not be under pressure, I think this is a good spot for Carolina to cover. 6 points is a lot, as we
Hmm.
know.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I don't hate the take. I mean, we looked at Carolina once they made the switch to Dalton, and instantly their offense, was a lot more productive. They were putting 20 points up the first 2 weeks with Andy Dalton as a starter, right? They took a step back last week. Um, a tough game against Washington, who's red hot, like we said. Um, this is a divisional game, though, and like you said, these divisional games they seem to always be competitive. And this is in Carolina. Granted, I don't know how much the Carolina faithful are
Yeah.
behind this team right now, but I don't hate the take. And I don't want to. I don't know if I could tail it though. Quite frankly, there's not enough going on with Carolina for me to feel confident taking them to really do anything. So I'm gonna fall towards a safe route and just take Atlanta straight up. I mean, they're the better team. They should win this game. I think they will win this game. Right? Big win last week. They had a long week on after playing Thursday night. So long week, plenty of time to recover. And yeah, I think Atlanta's winning this one.
Yeah, I think Atlanta for sure wins. I just believe, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I believe in the Carolina Panthers to keep it close.
Oh God. Hey,
At
don't
least this week.
we'll see. We'll see. All right. Wrapping up Sunday night football. All right. Carrie, take us away. Cincinnati in New York, MetLife. Okay. This one, this one should be good.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup, not one that you see a lot. I'm surprised that this was the Sunday night game selected. I'm assuming that they didn't expect the Bengals to be 1-4, but we know the Bengals are better than 1-4.
Hmm.
Their defense isn't, but at least offensively they are. But the Giant, Danny Dimes in prime time, I think he's 6-23 in his
Yeah.
career, which makes me want to lean towards Cincinnati. But for some reason, I just feel something gross, and the Giants
Oh no.
get a backdoor cover late in the game to cover the 3.5. But the Bengals
Mm,
win.
okay. All right. Yeah. So big thing for New York, right? Neighbors was out last week. Slayton stepped up. Okay. Do we think that Slayton's going to step up again and be that complementary piece like we talked about? Who knows? I think Neighbors will play though. He's listed as questionable right now, but I would expect him to play in prime time. This is going to be kind of his national debut to kind of display what he's all about, and should be interesting to see because, like you said, this Cincinnati defense is atrocious. All
Not
right.
good.
But on the other side, the Cincinnati Bengals offense, okay, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. New York does not have the guys to slow them down. And Joe Burrow, I think, is just going to pick apart this New York defense. And this one, I could see getting ugly. And Cincinnati blows them out of the water.
I do think that Joe Burrow has a big game because that's all he's been having. I just don't. I really think this Giants offense is very in a good spot because the Bengals defense, like you said, has been terrible, and I think the Giants will be able to put up points and at least keep it close. But yeah, I think the Bengals win this one because they can't fall to 1-5, right?
No, yeah. We said this early, like a couple of weeks ago when we are like, if they fall to 0-4 or whatever, like they're in trouble, right? The season might be over. If they fall to 1-5, the season might be over for the Cincinnati Bengals because this is a game where if you're Cincinnati, you have to win this game.
Yes.
All right. So we'll see what happens Sunday night. And then to close it out, Monday night, divisional game, Buffalo Bills and the New York Giants. All right. Nathaniel Hackett, I don't know if he's at the helm for New York after the Robert Saleh firing. And then on the other side, Buffalo, Josh Allen has not looked he's been a shell of himself the last 2 weeks. Not the Josh Allen we've come accustomed to. Is this going to be his get right game against a New York Jets team with a new coach?
I don't know. Well, so their interim head coach this week is Jeff Ulbrich, their defensive coordinator. So it's not Nathaniel Hackett, which
Okay.
I'm sure Jets fans are happy about. But I really believe in the interim head coach boost. Whenever your coach gets fired and there's an
Yeah.
interim head
Look,
coach, that
we've
team
seen
seems to
this time and
win.
time again where a coach gets fired, interim coach steps up, and the team is just all backing the whoever steps
Yeah.
into that interim head coach position, and they really just run with that energy. And I think that if if they can, get fired up and really get behind their coach and believe, who's to say that they don't keep this one close?
Yeah, no, I actually think the Jets win this one outright. I think the Bills are showing their problems and not as good as we thought they were after their 3-0 start. And lo and behold, if the Jets win this game, they're in first in the AFC East, which is crazy to say because they have looked very bad.
At 3-3.
Yeah. So a nasty division, nasty division.
Yeah.
But I think the Jets win.
Yeah, I like the Jets to win this one as well. I like what you said. They're a very defensive minded team. They got a bunch of ballers on the defensive side of the ball. And like what we're talking about, the weaknesses of this Buffalo team is they don't really have the playmakers with the exception of James Cook and occasionally Dalton Kincaid um, to really have these explosive plays that we talk about time and time again. If these teams are going to win these big games, they need to have some sort of big play ability. And I don't know if the Bills have a lot of guys or necessarily match up well with this New York Jets defense. So I don't hate it. The Jets are in MetLife. Also, that's another thing. Sunday night is the Giants in MetLife. And then we
And
follow
then
it up with a
Monday night,
Monday night prime time in MetLife. So back to
yeah,
back prime time games in MetLife could be interesting. So yeah, why not rock with the Jets here?
yeah, I love it. It's kind of gross, honestly, but New York Jets, let's do it.
All right.
JETS.
Jets, Jets, Jets. All right. All right. So that covers all of our games here in week 6. Do you got your lock of the week?
I'll actually, I guess my dog of the week, based off the money line, would be the Jets because they
Mm,
are. I really think the Jets are going to win. Like I'm confident in that.
yeah.
Um, my lock of the week actually is a 1-4 team. I think the Jags are puzzled in to beat the Bears in London this week. I really do.
Wow. Interesting. I don't hate it, but interesting. Um, yeah, if I'm looking at my lock of the week, right? I think my lock of the week, I mean it's the biggest spread on the slate. I think Philadelphia is going to be my lock of the week. This Browns team has looked rough, and we've talked about it. I think until there's some sort of change, especially at like the quarterback position, this Browns team isn't going anywhere. And Eagles are fresh off a bye week. Gonna be they're gonna be ready to go. So I think the Eagles are gonna be my safe lock of the week. My dog of the week, I said, Commanders. That's my big underdog that I could see winning this one, and ultimately, I do like them as potentials to win, but I'm leaning more towards I think the Denver Broncos are going to be my little bit. It's a safer underdog of the week.
Yeah.
They're only they're 3-point underdogs against LA, but I've been high on the Broncos since the beginning of the year, and I'm gonna keep riding. Right, Broncos country. Let's ride. All right. Dogs of the week.
I do. I like that though because I think that this spread should be more Denver by 2.5 or something, but they're actually +3 at home, which is wild to me.
Yeah. All right. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Yeah, anything else?
I'm just looking forward to watching some football, man.
Yes,
I
sir.
think we have
As we're
what,
recording, San
Niners
Fran's already
Seahawks.
up 3-0. So we'll see at the end of the first, and I'm excited to see what happens come this Sunday slate and into Monday. So stay tuned. All right. Stay tuned for next week's episodes where we'll recap all the games of week 6. Make sure y'all leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and then share with a friend. Again, as always, we appreciate y'all tuning in, showing support, helping us grow. And if you don't have anything else, Dean, you want
Go
to send us
Steelers,
off?
baby. Go Steelers, baby. That's all I gotta say.
All right. We'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks y'all for stopping by.